Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Holy shit. All right. 1 second. Okay. What's the fork and knife mean? What's the fork and knife mean? Arku says Morj, we need an apology. I'm fucking sorry. I couldn't even change the stream time because I was coming back from very, very far away, let's say that, and I couldn't change the stream time on my phone. I couldn't do it. It was not working, and I couldn't comment. I could not use YouTube Studio on my phone, so I had no method of communication. Genuinely no audio. Let's see. There is audio. There is audio. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be upset with you guys. I deserve whatever anger. No audio trolling. We can do the I can pretend that there's no audio. If to pretend that you guys got me with that. I don't know. Morj, you done being the number one gag? I'm sorry, guys. There's audio you can hear. Yeah, I'm sorry. Coming from far away. Power Vision Alt and comment in chat with yeah. Yeah, I was just coming from far away. YouTube Studio is not working on my phone app. There was not a way for me to communicate that. Could not make it for this. Yeah, and I wasn't at something super important either. I was at a Memorial Day thing that just took way too long and involved carpooling and things like that. Yeah, I'm sorry. In America, for those of you who don't know, there's a holiday which is Memorial Day, where we celebrate the people who are in the military, not the people who are alive in the military. That's Veterans Day. Memorial Day celebrates the people who died in the military, so it's much sadder. What's the fork and knife thing? I've missed the boat on that. I imagine I'm being trolled in some way, but I don't even know what the fork and knife thing is. Fork and knife means, what does it mean? Your lateness gave me a summer body. Well, let's just get into the topic. Here's what I promise. I promise the next stream that I do, this Friday stream, will be on time. That's a Morj guarantee to make up for this stream. That one will be absolutely on time. I was giving an acceptance speech. Fork and knife? Pitchfork equals right. Wait, this is your attempt at a riot? Fork and knife? That's the closest you guys have for... I feel bad. I feel like you guys deserve better riot emojis than this. Let's see. Is there a better riot? I don't know if there's a better riot emoji than that. Yeah, I guess that's the closest thing. I'm not... Ender Anami says, Morj being intentionally late for this stream is him playing into one of his many trademark gags. He's heightening the stream experience by showing off a great example for what a well-done gag is. I don't know who the gag is on, because I was fucking stressed as fuck. I'm hot. I'm sweaty. I drove back dangerously fast. That's all I gotta say. I don't know. Next stream will be on time. It will be on time. You know what? I feel like... No, I was going to offer to... I'm not doing a Bollywood dance. That's not happening. For a moment, I considered it. Hawkins says, what do you think the origins of devil fruits are? Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. What do I think the origins of devil fruits are? I think the origins of devil fruits are not something that's actually going to be legitimately explored in the story, because I think it's something that Oda left it where it's at, which is... the idea that devil fruits are representations of people's dreams. I think that thematically works perfectly with the story. I don't think everything magical in One Piece needs to be explained. I think that there's categories of lore aspects in One Piece that it's clear that need to be explained over time, like what the hell's Tequila Wolf, what happened in the Void Century, what's the Will of D. Those are things that are clearly need to be explained. And then I think there's lore aspects that are more meant to be magical, unexplained sort of things that just play into the dreamlike nature of the world. I don't think we're ever going to learn really what space pirates are or where they come from or anything necessarily, for example. Akash Panda, Odin said, Wano was connected to the rest of the world in the past. He meant that Wano was literally connected to the outside world by land. Yeah. And somebody else pointed out that it's possible that Wano has those huge barriers around it, right? somebody else pointed out that Wano may have erected those barriers to prevent it from flooding. So the lowest level of where Wano is, right, the lower level region of Wano, that was actually, the theory is that that was actually what the normal sea level was, where everybody used to live, right? Then as the Great Flood was going to approach, Wano erected these barriers to prevent it from dying to the Great Flood. Unfortunately, what they also did in the process was trapping themselves in a bit of a well, because now any water that comes over, any rainwater, whatever the hell, it actually floods the lower area, and so they ended up getting fucking flooded anyway, and they had to go to the top too. So it was a nice attempt, but it didn't work out. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100, even though just because the stream started, I suppose this stream, I don't deserve it for this stream, but I'm still going to ask anyway. Let's get the stream likes up to 100 if we can. If you guys are in the mood for it. If not, completely understandable. Evil Friend, thanks for the 5. Y'all think there was an emphasis on Kaku reacting to Stussy last chapter? Look, Kaku, Stussy, I get that there's like theoretically a romance or something there, but it's so, what even happened between, did anything happen between them? I would have to reread the arc and trace back any sort of dialogue between them, because I wasn't picking up on anything before this chapter, so it would feel kind of random to me, but I guess I get it. I could see something. Stride Shaco, thanks for being a member for 20 months. Happy Memorial Day, Morp. Condoriano underrated. Fuck, I could throw Condoriano onto the tier list. I'll show you guys who we have got ready for the tier list. I'll show you guys. We've got some characters, and if there's some missing gag characters, maybe we can add those as well. Tuna Sub, thanks for the 5. Great stream idea. Buggy is unironically top 10 characters in One Piece for me. Sakamoto Days anime trailer is out. You should check it. I've heard so many good things about Sakamoto Days. Maybe I'll react to the trailer here as well. Let's see what I can do. Growth Stonks, thanks for the 10. The hidden snail is in the robot. Chapter 1066, Vegapunk was in the robot less than 24 hours before the update to Punk Records. And York, oh! You think he's putting the snail there? Because people have talked about in past streams that, oh, the snail is inside the ancient robot, which would be a genius play. But at the same time, I think, I did not pick up on the idea that Vegapunk was literally working on, I forgot, Vegapunk was literally working on the robot right before it started. The Gorsa can't hear the snail just like NL couldn't hear Luffy and the snake. Oh, that's an interesting little callback too. That is a really cool callback. I shouldn't have mentioned Bollywood Dance. Forget the Bollywood Dance. Akash Panda, thanks to 5. Inu and Neko thought that there were only 5 islands in the world. Maybe there were 5 continents initially, and that's what the Minks were taught in Zou. That would be interesting. I mean, I always took that as just a throwaway comment that shows their naivety regarding the actual scale of the world, but it could be a bit of that versus a bit of Oda foreshadowing versus a bit of like actually, or a combination of, it could either be foreshadowing or Oda actually working in some lore in that the people of Zou actually think that there's more than 5 islands. The FPS King Gaming, thanks for the 5. Hey Morj, you are a great streamer and get me through uni and this crazy world. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm sorry that I was late today. I'm sure you were looking forward to the stream while you were, I don't know, studying or something. Or, you know, university's probably out at this point, right? Probably done with final exams or just about. I think Smoker will have a Kuma/Kizaru arc. Thoughts? P.S. Broke my toe. I'm sorry you broke my toe. I'm sorry you broke your toe. But Smoker, Kuma, Kizaru, etc. I think Smoker's going to have a great arc. And the difference is that, like, I feel like, I'm just going to say it. I think Smoker for Nakama, Smoker for the crew, is potentially back on the table. I'm just going to say that. I think it's potentially back on the table. I think, because even, I don't know, like, so many characters are, like, if Aokiji can end up on the fucking Blackbeard Pirates, why can't Smoker end up on the Straw Hat Pirates, huh? I mean, the entire world, like, most of the Marines are going to defect most likely at some point soon. So why can't, what's so crazy about this, huh? That Smoker potentially, he's nearby. He's at a nearby island. I don't know. Gerard, thanks for the 5. 30 minutes late after changing the original stream is Diabolical Morj. I didn't change the original stream, though. This stream was actually legitimately scheduled from the jump for 7:45 p.m. EST. As far as I know. That's legitimately what it was scheduled for. That's what I asked our VA to do. It should have been scheduled for 7:45 p.m. EST. I knew that I'd be later than usual today. I just didn't realize because I was going to be out for a picnic cookout type thing. But I didn't realize just how messy it would get, basically, time-wise for me today. We should have a stream to discuss appropriate punishments. Also, how is the missus? All right, we're not gonna get into any of these things. But I appreciate the thoughts. I appreciate the input. Growth Stonks, thanks for the 5. Since Emu is God and Joy Boy was the first pirate to rebel against God, he could be Lucifer the Morning Star. Luffy's nickname was Lucy, short for Lucifer. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I also don't think that... I think Emu became God after the events of the Void Century, so I don't think Joy Boy necessarily rebelled against God first, because I don't think Emu really had that status originally. I think he made himself a god after those events. So I think that that might be a little bit different, but I see where you're getting at. Yeah, Smoker's not really relevant or that strong anymore. That's true. I don't know what role he would really play. Wait, what the fuck? Akash Panda just dropped a bomb. Chapter 905 cover page shows a map with 5 continents. What the fuck? What are you talking about? Let me see this. Let me see this. I need to inspect this. Chapter 905. Oh shit. What the fuck? Alright, let me share this. Check this out. Don't look at this guy. Look over here. I don't think it's... But why would he have this map? Why would Orlumbus just randomly have this map? Also, Orlumbus's cover page story is my favorite of all the cover page stories that the Strahd Grand Fleet had, except for Bellamy's. Bellamy's was great. The Strahd Grand Fleet cover story is low-key one of my favorite cover stories. It just adds so much characterization to some characters that we didn't know that much about. I feel like this might just more be like a collection of islands that, you know, he's sailed through or something that is covered here. Because even if we look at the globe, right? The globe, you can see the red line running across both parts of it. So I don't know. Unless it's some like Goda foreshadowing or something like that, I don't see why Orlumbus would have the map that shows the truth of the world. You know what I mean? It was in Orlumbus's hands all along. That looks like an island chain. Yeah. That's a Rorschach test, says Yako. Yeah, maybe. Let's get the Streamlabs up to 100. Let's get it up to 100. In the meantime, let me pull up. Let me see if I've got the gag tier list ready. Let me see. Let's see if it's ready. Oh, shit. All right, I think I'm going to have to make the tier list myself. I'll just do it as I answer questions. It's not going to be too many characters. I think this will be easy because it will allow us to pick out the characters ourselves. Let me make a template. Oh, High Top Samurai, thanks for your first super ever, and you've got a great question. Could you recommend some good Bollywood movies? You mentioned some on stream before. Also, happy birthday, Morj. Hope the wife and kids are well. So I can recommend some good Bollywood movies, but I need like a list in front of me. Okay, there's a difference between Bollywood movies, like traditional Bollywood movies, and just generally Hindi movies in general. Hindi movies in general, one of my favorite Hindi movie period is a film called Ugly. And it's not traditional Hindi movie. It's a Bollywood movie. It's made more it's closer to an American indie film than anything else, right? You're gonna watch that. You're gonna feel like you're watching close to a psychological thriller that's basically Americanized in many ways. It is a phenomenal movie, straight up. It's not like a everyone singing, dancing Bollywood type thing. It's made in Western fashion, okay? And it is one of the coolest psychological thrillers that I've seen. And it's a very, very interesting movie with the way things end up. All right. So Ugly, I'll always recommend that, but that's not a traditional Bollywood type movie. Good Bollywood movies. My favorite is called Om Shanti Om. But the problem is that Om Shanti Om is a movie that pays homage to a lot of other Bollywood movies. So you can't really just jump into Om Shanti Om, but because you need the background context. It's kind of like, I don't know, like fucking La La Land is... You would enjoy that more if you enjoy a bit of like Hollywood, like old school Hollywood history, right? So in general, I think like Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham. There's shit. Let me see, because I don't know off the top of my head names. I need to see them in front of me. Classic Bollywood movies, because I know ones if I see them. Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. Devdas I've never seen, but I've heard lots of great things about it. Three Idiots is a newer one that could be easy to get into. Koi Milgya is kind of corny, but it's like a play on E.T., but with like more action and stuff like that. So I've always enjoyed seeing that. Yeah, like let's just say those are starting points. Let's say those are starting points. I'm not gonna be the most versed in Bollywood movies. I need to see a lot of them like in front of me to really. Oh, Mehuna, that's also a good one. There's a really good one too. Rang De Basanti. Yeah, Rang De Basanti, but that's a very dark Bollywood movie, and it's not traditional either. So I mean, some of my favorites are not traditional ones. Batman Free says Sakamoto Days is peak action manga. Read it now. I will definitely read Sakamoto Days because it just looks cool, and I've heard so many good things on it. Let me catch up on these. Hold on, give me 1 second. Growth Stonks, thanks for the 5. Sora, Warrior of the Sea, existed 200 years ago as an awakened Gear 5th user. Whoa, what? The robot is powered by belief in Nika. Sora had the rebel world government mark seen in chapter 1054. What? What are we talking about here? Let me pull this shit up. Hold on. 1054. Let me pull up Sora, Warrior of the Sea 2. 1054. But it doesn't make sense because Sora's tied to Germa lore. One Piece, Sora, Warrior of the Sea. And you think the ancient robot is the same as the robot that was with Sora? I guess I just don't understand. I see, but it's not a reverse world. It's the Marines and the world government logo. It's Marines and world government. I feel like it's more just world government propaganda, because you wouldn't have Sora, like Sora's on the world government side in these stories, you know. So I don't know if that makes sense. Knut Worgen, thanks for the 2. Missed his last stream. Congrats on the theory. Thanks very much, Knut. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoy this one. Husam Hashmi, thanks for the 5. How do you feel that the only Desi representation we have is Mad Monkey Rouge? I hope he clutches soon. P.S. We need a Bollywood dance. First of all, I think Rouge is pretty good representation as far as, what do you call? As far as, yeah, like general One Piece characters. Because, you know, he started out as the worst of the Supernova. You know, the one people were least hyped for, and now he's one of the only remaining still impressive Supernova out there. You know, he's not Luffy Kid in Law, but he's still hanging in there. It's not like he's Apu or Hawkins or something. I also think it's just funny that, like, you know, representation is a big thing that's just become more of a thing in like fiction in general, right? Not just in the West, also. You know, Japan features lots more black characters in its media and stuff too. I just think it's interesting that, like, dude, like, in the entire planet, I don't know, Indians and generally our skinned people, like, if you include lots of Muslim nations and things like that, we make up, like, I don't know, like 30% or something, maybe like that, like, of the planet. We make up a lot of percentage of the planet if you combine India and all Muslim countries. It's just, I feel like representation is kind of arbitrary, which is something that, I don't know, I don't think about too much because it's not something, like, I personally still really enjoy, like, I don't need to see myself as a character visually for me to really connect or care. Like, that's not something I've ever thinking about, like, oh, there needs to be an Indian character in here, otherwise, like I can't like Luffy because he's not Indian. That's not something that comes through my mind. But it does come through my mind when I see, like, so many other, like, when discussion about diversity comes up and it's like, well, there's no, like, black characters in this anime or something. It's like, dude, there's no fucking Indian characters either, and there's a lot more of us. Like, there's a lot more, way more of us. It's more likely that we'd be in Asia too. I don't know. That's just all I'm saying. That's not a thing that I think about normally, if that makes sense. Like, left to my own devices, I wouldn't think about it. But when I see discussions about, like, how important diversity is and stuff, I'm like, we're a fucking, like, billion-person country. Throw some of us in there. I don't know. I feel like, I guess my only thing with diversity is basically, like, it's almost selective as to, like, yeah, we're supposed to be inclusive, but there's, like, favoritism in terms of who's supposed to be included. And I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe we should complain more or something like that. I don't know what the answer is. Like, how do we get our names thrown into the bucket there? I don't know. Anyway, Oda did say Jinbei was Indian, so I will hang my hat on that. Although in my heart of hearts, it is pretty obvious that the Fishman people, I don't think they're supposed to represent Indians. I don't think the Fishman story is supposed to represent Indians. I do think that Oda probably threw that. He probably threw in that Jinbei was Indian because he already said that Usopp was from Africa. So he's trying to be, trying to diversify a little bit. Anyway. Yeah, Sakamoto Days, I will read. I want to watch, I might watch the trailer on stream. I think I'm going to watch the trailer on stream. It's just a pain in the ass always to watch trailers on stream and not get copyright struck and shit. But let's see what I can do. Party McFly, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morj, had to put my 13-year-old dog down on Saturday, but your streams and One Piece make things a little bit better. I am sorry, man. I'm going to assume you're not joking because a lot of times people come in joking about that type of shit. But, like, I'm going to assume that you're not joking. Thanks, man. Also, Minatomo for number 1. Minatomo? Who's Minatomo? Minatomo? That dude? Oh my god, I forgot about that guy. Alright. Yeah, it's good that I'm making this manually myself, because otherwise I would have forgotten about certain characters. Yeah, let me just start doing this on the side while I answer questions. But I'm sorry about your dog. I understand how that must have felt, because I had to put down my dog, Paco, last year, around this same time. We did it, I believe, June... His birthday was June 6th, so we did it that week. I don't know exactly what day. I don't recall off the top of my head, but we did it around this time last year. So I know what that feels like. I cried a lot, and it was like... I cried like I'd never cried before. I didn't even know I had that in me, because it wasn't just like, some tears and stuff like that. I was ugly crying. I was making sounds. It was a whole scene. And then we all left the room where he'd been put down. And then I had to go back in and just like actually hold his body. Like, it was a lot, basically. I needed a moment by myself with the body and everything. So it was a lot. It's very, very sad. Also, one thing for people who have had to put down pets, or who are thinking about having to put down their pets sometime soon, let me break something down for you all, which might be a little bit upsetting, which is... When a vet puts down, you might have had a different experience, Party McFly, but at least in my experience, the way it went was the vet gives them 2 shots. The first shot is supposed to numb them. So you think, okay, a numbing shot, so that'll relax them. And then after that, the second shot, which puts them down, that'll make it really nice and peaceful for them. That's not quite how it went, okay? So the numbing shot, it does numb them, but it numbs them in a way that basically it relaxes all of their muscles, but they stay conscious. So... Paco was very tensed up, and then they gave him the numbing shot, and then you could see his muscular control slowly slipping away, but he didn't want to rest and relax. He was trying to stay up, but he was just suddenly feeling weaker and weaker. You could see him struggling to stay up, and then suddenly he just isn't able to hold himself up anymore, and he collapses with all of his legs and paws spread out in kind of almost like a star sort of shape, and his tongue just rolls all the way out, and he's his tongue's still kind of moving, and he's trying to move. And it was very, very not peaceful looking. Like, I felt terrible for him, because I'm like, this doesn't seem like he's at peace in this moment. It seems as though he's fucking, scared and frantic, and he's just lost all muscular control, and is just, flat and helpless, basically. So it felt terrible. And then the vet gave him the other shot. And, that shot... this is something that people will probably mention, but when a dog gives out its last breath, or I guess any living being, the last breath is a very deep sort of exhale that just happens, where it's just the last, I don't know, whatever, all the remaining air in your body just exiting, basically. And that was hard to hear too. So, putting down your pet, it is, it's good to do it with a vet and everything like that, but it is not as peaceful as you might imagine. It was actually a little bit more traumatic to see him like that in his final moments. I thought that he's just gonna calmly curl, not curl up, but you just imagine, okay, a numbing shot that'll help them relax and basically drift off. It's not like that. It's not like going to sleep. He was fighting every step of the way, which is difficult to watch. So I'm sorry that you had to go through that this weekend, man. I hope you're okay. I hope the stream helps you feel a little bit better. We'll be talking about jokes and gag characters. We won't talk about Chocho, that's for sure. Le Man, thanks for the 2. Everyone congratulate that I got my first One Piece tattoo. Oh, congrats! You didn't even say what you got. What did you get? What did you get, Le Man? Hawkins, thanks for the 5. I think the infinite power source Vegapunk alluded to was harnessing other voice / rhythm of all things / the drums of liberation through the Nika fruit. So, I mean, I would like to talk to Hidden Island again some point soon. I'll reach out to him. But he had a really good theory about this. I'll maintain that he had one of my favorite One Piece theories ever, which was that the infinite power source or whatever was very possibly the power of dreams. The power of dreams being converted into energy, largely because Egghead Island as an arc is largely about dreams. That's one of the main themes. On top, like, the arc literally begins with Luffy talking about his fucking dream, if Vegapunk talking about his dream. Then on top of that, dreams, like Vegapunk talks about how the infinite energy source is all around them. He just has to figure out a way to harness it, but he can feel that it's all around them. So there's just, there's stuff like that. Let me make sure this is working. Create single-use templates. Can I just upload files? Hold on. I'm uploading some files. Let's see if this works. Tyler Bird with another theory on... Everyone's trying to figure out devil fruit theories right now. So another theory on devil fruits. And Tyler Bird is saying, devil fruits are the will of D, the devil. They embody the will of those who dreamt them. In this case, the devils who oppose 20 kingdoms. Awakening is the will of those individuals fully realized. Okay, I could maybe see that. I could see that. But I feel like devil fruits may have existed. I feel like it sounded like devil fruits existed before that period of time. Like they'd just been around forever and ever. So not necessarily created in the Void Century era. Also, I'm understanding now that I need to cut things in squares. So that's good to know going forward. I'm going to show you guys in a second. Give me a couple minutes. The cast of characters that I've got here for this stream, the gag characters, and then if we're missing any, then we'll make sure to add them. Read 20th Century Boys, Morj. I've heard, again, one of the things I always say when 20th Century Boys comes up is that there's divisiveness over how the ending of that series went, And I value series endings a lot. It's the most important part of the story for me. I think a story can... I will always say that I think a story that has a weak beginning but a strong ending is way, like a million times better than a story having a weak ending but good at the beginning, I'll use Naruto as an example. I'll always uphold Naruto as an example of that. I think Naruto is one of the best beginnings to any series I've ever seen. I would go so far as to say this. I think Naruto's early beginnings are better than One Piece's early beginnings, up to like Arlong Park, and then I think it evens out. But Naruto had me emotionally hooked earlier than One Piece. It just wasn't strong for me later on, And I think that's the case for a lot of people. Tamur Iqbal, thanks a lot. I think there was a message in there, but that didn't happen. Crisis, thanks for the send. The reason why Indian representation isn't that relevant is mostly due to the fact that a lot of non-Indians have negative stereotypes about Indians. Although I'm simplifying that subject a lot, though. Yeah, but we had that for, like, black people and Mexican people, too, Like, it really took a lot. Like, I think most races had that shit going on for quite some time. The Chinese were viewed super, like, Chinese and Asians, they were all grouped together, and they were viewed super negatively for a long period of time. Like, that's not new. I think it's just one of those things that... usually what happens that there's some sort of let's be clear here, a lot of negative rep about India as a country is very, very well deserved. India it is a rough country. It is a rough country with a lot of backwards ass shit going on there. There's problems for sure. However, that's not exclusive to that country. I think in general, like, the starting point was basically that there is a lot of racist views towards other races. It's just that over time there's pushes, diversity pushes to try and be more, like, look past the stereotypes and things like that, right? That's just a thing that generally happens, and you see it happen for a lot of other races over time. You can view how certain races were treated in media, etc., 50 years ago versus how they're treated now. My only thought is that, the reason that a lot of stereotypes still exist for Indians is because they haven't gotten Indians, dark-skinned, or brown-skinned people, right, Muslims, etc. included, is because they haven't gotten that nice diversity push to try and quell stereotypes and things like that and slap back at stereotypes that a lot of other races, like Hispanics, black people, Asians, or like, not Southeast Asians, but Chinese, Korean, Japanese Asians, etc. have had in recent decades. So, that's my only thought. It's just like, diversity is nice and all, but it's kind of like, even with diversity, it's not, there's clearly favorites in terms of who is supposed, like, what counts as inclusion and not counts as inclusion. That's my only, I just think it's weird that we make up, like, a huge part of the planet, literally, in terms of overall numbers of people, but it's just like, that number of people basically being treated as though they don't exist in popular media is strange, as though it's like, I don't know, there's just different, I don't know, it's just weird, right? To me. LeMan, thanks for the 5. I had to build hype first, lol. Also, I didn't see everyone commenting, oops, I got Nika jumping in front of the moon from 1044. Oh, that is a great tattoo. I didn't think about it. That's probably going to be a more popular tattoo for One Piece fans nowadays. The Ace, I feel like the Ace, Sabo, Luffy, the ASCE one is probably always going to be the most popular, as well as Whitebeard's tattoo on people's back if they want to go all out, or just a general straw hat tattoo. I've always thought I might get a straw hat tattoo. But that's a cool one that I didn't even think about. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Grizzly Adams, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 9 months. This chapter had my favorites of Oda's narrative tools, establishing a sense of scale so he can blow it out of the water with a big reveal, seeing how big the world is before revealing how big it was. Seeing how big the world is before revealing how big it was. Yeah, it's very... Okay, quick, small, brief spoilers for 2 seconds. 2 seconds while I have these fingers up, all right? I'm talking about Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter spoilers really quick, all right? Ready? It feels very similar to Dark Continent being revealed in that, like, the world you see is actually only a small portion of the actual world, right? That's my only thought, but, like, it felt very similar to that. So the world that we will likely get to explore during Joy Boy's time, because the Void Century flashback is coming, and I think it'll be the most elaborate One Piece flashback we've ever gotten. Like, it'll blow Odin's flashback out of the water in terms of how long and extensive it is, and it'll be cool to follow a character. One of the reasons that I think the Joy Boy flashback, the Void Century flashback, has potential to be extremely long is the fact that Joy Boy, it seems, is going to be a very similar character to Luffy, and he will have his own crew. So, one of the things that I think makes Oda a little hesitant to spend too long outside of the modern-day story, focusing on past flashbacks and things like that, I think one of the deterrents for him for that is, like, he doesn't want to stay too long away from the Straw Hat crew, right? But the Void Century flashback, I think, will circumvent that in many ways, because the Void Century flashback would be focusing on, like, an older version of Luffy and his crew, right? The past version of it. So it's almost like an alternate reality version of Luffy that we'd be getting to read about. And I think that that's something that would definitely still hold interest and in just as much as, the modern day stuff would with Luffy and the Straw Hats. So I think that that's a huge advantage. I think it allows the Void Century flashback to be a lot longer than we might have initially thought. So I think that that's a big deal. And I am thinking that the Void Century flashback could easily turn out to be, like, more than a volume's worth of content, maybe like 2 volumes worth of content or something like that. Because even Odin's flashback, which really flew through Odin and the history of Wano, in my opinion, a bit too fast, I think that the Void Century flashback has definitely the potential to blow that completely out of the water. In a second, I'm going to be asking you guys for any other character names that I might be missing for this tier list. I'm remembering a lot of characters that are gag characters, but the rule is kind of going to be characters like Usopp that are often used for gags but are not primarily gag characters don't count. Villains that were once villains but that turned into gag characters do count. As long as their primary role throughout the majority of the story was gag-based, or that's their current role, it counts. I don't think Usopp's primary role would be gag-based. You know what I mean? Grizzly Adams. No, we just covered this. I don't think Laoji counts. Joao Porto, sorry if I butchered that name. From Doflamingo's flashback, we see that people hate the Celestial Dragons. However, during most of the series, regular people generally show support/trust the world government. Is that a contradiction? So this is actually a very, very, very good question. If you go back to my video talking about the One Piece world government being the perfect dystopia, right? I this was a section that I largely left out of the video talking about the Celestial Dragons because I think that the One Piece world was a beautifully constructed dystopia because it was so fucking realistic up till the introduction of the Celestial Dragons. Because the realism of it was that the world government really was a fucking trusted government. The idea is that this represents justice, truth, justice, and the American way, right? Much in the same way that in the 90s, Americans fucking trusted the hell out of the American government for the most part. Even though the American government was terrible for many groups of people, that stuff was sort of buried under this sort of general positive feeling and sentiment towards the American government, right? That shit slowly changed, particularly over the course of the 2010s, and now in the 2020s, opinion has completely reversed as people have really started to see the flaws of the US government, right? It's very, very similar to the world government in terms of, imagine 90s America, right? 90s America's views towards the American government reflects a lot of the world's the general world population in One Piece's views towards the world government there, and a lot of the same truths about the American government back then apply to the world government today, right? So I thought that it was beautiful because it represents truly what a dystopic government would look like, where the perfect dystopia is one where everyone thinks it's a fucking utopia, right? And in actuality, it has many, many dystopic elements that are buried underneath. Celestial Dragons change that. Once Celestial Dragons are introduced, it throws a lot of that off because everybody understands how evil the Celestial Dragons are. Like, the general populace fears them. They view them as tyrants, as shitty people. They hate the Celestial Dragons. We saw what happened when Doflamingo, a Celestial Dragon, was dropped into the world just on his own. They tried to kill him, his brother, his father. They tortured them. The world hates the Celestial Dragons. That's very different because it reflects that it's two different things, right? Like the idea that we really trust the government and the people in charge, and like the world government would never do anything wrong, but at the same time, people really, really fucking hate the people at the top, right? The Celestial Dragons are a missing piece. Like you could say, oh, well, they're billionaires, so that's the same thing as Celestial Dragons. Yeah, but it's fucking different in that in the One Piece world, it's official that the billionaires, the Celestial Dragons, rule the world, right? That's different, whereas in a realistic dystopia that we kind of have had in the real world for many, many decades, it's more like it's underplayed. Like, you understand that there's rich people pulling the strings and stuff like that, but it's not the same. The One Piece world, once they introduced Celestial Dragons, it shifted into a very blatant sort of like, the government, like, the people in charge of the world are bad guys. Everybody knows they're bad guys. They're just bad guys. It conflicts a little bit with the concept that everybody trusts the world government, which was the narrative up till Celestial Dragons are introduced, right? I guess the distinction is that the people view a difference between the world government versus the Celestial Dragons aristocracy behind it, but it's always felt a little weak to me. At the end of the day, the Celestial Dragons are necessary for the story of One Piece because Oda's writing style, it does not aim to cover morally gray outcomes. It doesn't like One Piece is not about morally gray outcomes. The idea of One Piece is that when the arc ends, you're supposed to feel a very cathartic feeling that good has triumphed over evil, and the people of the land, the people of the island, all these innocent people, etc., who have been oppressed or whatever, they are happy that they've now been liberated, that the bad guys have been defeated. One Piece arcs, they do cover morally nuanced things, but by the end of any given story arc, you need to be hitting the idea that good Luffy is triumphing over evil bad guys, be that Crocodile, Doflamingo, NL, Wapol, whoever the fuck it is. You need that feeling. That's fundamental to One Piece writing, right? So Oda had to introduce this, like, the way the world government was written before, it was really good, but at the end of the day, for Oda to write the story in a broad manner, the way that he wants to write it, he did eventually have to boil it down a bit more towards, like, okay, the world government, it's like a mixed bag, and like, it's got some shady stuff, but like, okay, now here's the real root part of the world government, and it's just straight up evil, and everyone knows it's evil, and everyone hates them, and everyone will feel very happy when they're defeated, right? That's where the Celestial Dragons come in. You need to turn like, just the way One Piece works, it needed to be turned more black and white by the end of it so that the heroes have some people to punch, right? When the Straw Hats were fighting the world government the first time around in Enies Lobby and they declared war then, they couldn't really fight. The world government's a concept. It's a broad concept, right? So they fought Lucci, who's like a shitty agent of the world government, but it's not like Luffy can, at that point in time in the story, it's not like there was anybody that they could just walk up to and punch. And it's like, oh, Luffy beat the world government, right? You even look at, like, the round table, right? In chapter 900, let me show this, right? Screen share this. If you look at chapter 908, right? If you look at chapter 908, this is right here, right? We're looking at the world government, a massive organization made up of the majority of the world's nations, numbering 170 in total, right? You look at this round table, who does Luffy punch here, right? This is the original concept of the world government that we understood back when Spandam and Lucci and them were the villains. It's like, okay, Spandam's shitty and Lucci's shitty, and the world government does a lot of shitty things, but ultimately what we're being told is that this is the world government. We didn't know about celestial dragons and stuff at the end of the day. This is the world government. Who's the bad guy here, right? Is it fucking King Cobra? Is it this dude? We don't really know much about this dude, right? Is it, it's just kingdoms, right? It's just kingdoms. We can understand that together they probably do some shady shit, but it's also complicated, right? You got King Neptune here. You've got a mixed bag. Like, Dalton's a good guy. We like some of these fucking characters. This is the concept of the world government, right? So it's harder to write a One Piece style of story where good defeats evil while also writing a very realistic depiction of a dystopic government like this, because it just doesn't work as cleanly. Therefore, Oda had to introduce other villains, not so great villains, just straight up bad guys, celestial dragons. They suck. They're just evil, and everyone already fucking hates them, and they want to cleanse the world and shit like that, and they're just straight up bad guys. And this guy, here's a guy for Luffy to punch. Now we've got some punchable characters. These are just pure evil bad guys. Evil bad guys. And you know what? They do celestial tributes, and they tax people, and they do all sorts of shitty stuff, and they take slaves, and they rape and kidnap openly and stuff like that. And now we've got some traditional good versus evil. So now the story can close with Luffy punching, Luffy and the Straw Hats beating up some clearly bad guys, right? What does Koala even say right before it starts? This reverie starts, like, the world government isn't the real enemy, right? It's the celestial dragons that are the enemy. She spells that out for us. World government is just the world government. So essentially, Oda traded up what we were being shown in Enies Lobby as a much more realistic vision of a dystopic government that applies more to the real world, for a much more overtly black and white story where it's just like, celestial dragons exist. Everyone knows them. Everyone hates them. They run the world. Everyone knows they run the world. It's very clearly established that they're in charge, and they openly ride around on fucking human slaves and stuff like that. And it's just, it's very, very, very black and white, very, very open, right? It's better for a story like One Piece, but it does lose some level of realism and depth that I think that the story had before it. I still think it's better for the type of story that One Piece was, but it traded something a bit more ambitious for something a bit more generic, because you just can't really write a conclusion to the story as cleanly with the world government being what it originally was presented as during the Enies Lobby arc. Does that make sense? Anyway, that's a good, great point to raise, though, by the way. Let me get back to setting up this gags tier list. So thanks for that question, by the way. Also, let's get stream likes up to 200. Let's get the stream likes up to 200. Hold on. Where am I at? Ooh, thanks for the 20, man. The One Piece world is exactly like ours. Atlantis and megalithic ruins found around the globe, ancient kingdom, hidden alternative powerful weapons, UFOs, free energy, evil demon aliens secretly ruling, Gorosei, Imu, etc. Okay, so I cannot vouch for any of this. That is news to me. I did not know that this is the way that our world worked. I don't know about any of that necessarily. I don't know if Atlantis is real. I don't know if there's megalithic ruins found around the globe. I am not the sharpest on conspiracy theory stuff. Is it insulting to call it conspiracy? I don't know. I don't know what's the correct term. I don't know. But don't look at me for that. I don't know about that. Maybe you're right. Maybe not. It's hard to say. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. One conspiracy theory I believe in is that the Titanic was like some money laundering scheme or some shit. Or some, not money laundering, insurance scheme or something. It was or the Titanic had to be sunk and like it was actually its sister ship that was repainted. You guys can look into that. But that's an interesting one. I think that one's very, very plausible from the things I've seen. So at least there's that. I don't know about evil demon aliens ruling the world and shit. Grizzly Adams, thanks for the 10. One Piece was 13 chapters. The Magi, I never know how to pronounce this. Magi manga Magi manga has a similar level of lore and world building to One Piece, and its Ancient Times flashback was 27 chapters. Okay, I assume you mean One Piece was 13. Odin Piece was 13 chapters. I misread that. Its Ancient Times flashback was 27 chapters. I'm expecting 15 to 30 chapters for Void Century flashback. Yeah, I wouldn't use other manga as like necessarily the barometer, because it's ultimately Oda has different levels of comfort in terms of like straying away from the Straw Hats. So, it depends. Also, remember, like, One Piece is a business. So ultimately, you can only stray away from your cash cow stuff for so long, right? If Oda feels like the manga's kind of tanking in viewership, then you kind of got to do certain things, right? So maybe rush the flashback along if it's taking too long for people to get invested in or something like that. Like, that stuff is just a thing. But I doubt that once we're at the end of the story, maybe Oda would... I doubt Oda would ever be pushed to rush things, but... He'd never be pushed to rush... I guess I'm saying it the wrong way. Obviously, he wouldn't be pushed to rush things, but, like... He wants people to be interested in, like, following the manga, right? So, if he feels like the Straw Hats need to be front and center to keep the sales of the manga up or whatever, then that might be something that curtails how long he does certain flashbacks, What was the camel from Alabasta named? Eyelashes? Eyelashes, One Piece. Does anyone remember the crab from Alabasta's name? Who was the crab from Alabasta? Because we're getting to the end of what I've got for the setup for this list. What's the crab from Alabasta called? Crab from Alabasta. Does anybody remember? Maji? Eyelashes. I guess I can just look up crab from Alabasta. Crab Alabasta One Piece. All right, here we go. All right, I found him. Don't worry. And then one more, and then we'll be ready with our tier list. Okay. Let me just upload this shit. Isaac St. Charles, thanks a lot. Morj, read Boruto, Kurama back from death like Saul. That's a spoiler for... I don't think anyone cares about Boruto spoilers, though. I have heard that Kurama is back. That is not news to me. I was aware of that. So, I knew that one. I knew that Kurama's been back. I think that that's silly, but I also don't know how Kurama went out. It's also Boruto, so it's just like... I imagine Boruto's the same tier of writing as like something like Fairy Tail, so it's like, how much do we even hold against it? It just is what it is. It's just Boruto, right? You just gotta let it. You just let it be. It's just Boruto. Okay, I guess I can close some of this shit. Nah, whatever. Okay. All right, everybody. It's time. Let's get the stream likes up to 150. Let's get it up to 150 real quick. We get the stream likes up to 150. I start the tier list. We're almost there. We just need like 11 more likes. Kurama's death wasn't milked. I don't know enough about it. I don't know what to say. Boruto's fan fiction with a budget. I think I just dislike... One thing I don't think I'll understand is... Because Kishimoto's the one behind it now, right? Kishimoto's the one behind it now. So why does... Like, I've heard that Boruto shits on Naruto and Sasuke. Or like it disrespects them or something like that, or makes them irrelevant. And Boruto fans' response is that, well, the series is called Boruto. It's not about Naruto anymore. And that's understandable, but, I'm just surprised because Kishimoto, the author, to me, it's more just like, don't you have sentimental attachment to your characters? Like, the author wrote around Naruto and Sasuke as his main characters for decades, right? Like, this was his life. Like, he was writing the story of these two characters. Doesn't it feel weird for him as an author to be like, I don't know, just kind of throw away their... it's one thing. So people complain about Star Wars a lot because it's like, well, the new series shits on like the legacy of Luke and like even Han Solo and stuff. Like it shits on the legacy of previous characters and the previous movies and things like that, right? But I understand that because it's Disney, right? It's a new creators took it from the old creator, so they're not going to have the same value for what was created before. They want their new stuff to like trump that and almost make the other stuff obsolete, right? That's understandable. It's a shitty corporation taking over a visionary work, right? With Kishimoto, I don't really get it, because I'm just like, you wrote around Naruto and Sasuke and these characters for so long, right? Their journey, Naruto's journey to becoming Hokage, as powerful as he is, the protector of the village and everything like that. Sasuke being his rival, being on that same plane. Isn't it just like, don't you feel something weird as an author to just be like, okay, and now for my new series, like, all of that other stuff, it pretty much doesn't fucking matter, because, like, now everybody's, like, way, way, way more powerful, and we're fighting moon people and shit like that, and fuck it, like, Naruto's kid, way stronger than Naruto and Sasuke, with, like, 1/16 of the writing effort. He's just like, no, fuck it, like, just a new kid. He's stronger than both of them, and I'm not going to put nearly a fraction of the effort I did into the journey for this character, for the writing of this character. Just fuck Naruto and Sasuke. This kid's way better than both of them. And you know what? Naruto's daughter, this is my understanding, is now stronger than Naruto, and it's like, she wasn't even a fucking main character as far as I understand for Boruto. It's just like, and have this other kid who I didn't do anything for whatsoever, she's stronger than Naruto too, and she's like 5 years old or some shit. And it's just like, completely make irrelevant the main characters from before, their growth from before, just their status from before, everything that they accomplished. It doesn't really matter, because the new stuff is just way, way, way better with much less writing effort. Don't you feel weird as the author doing that? Because, like, those were your babies, right? Like, you spent so much time and effort on their stories, on their writing, like, building them up, getting them to that final point of like being successors to the Sage of the Sixth Path, defeating Kaguya, their final epic battle and everything. And now it's just like, okay, and now that's all small potatoes, because I just want to rush writing this new story that blows all of that out of the park and makes all of that canon kind of irrelevant. Isn't that just weird? I just don't get that, you know? Again, I get it with something like Star Wars, where it's one entity taking the work from George Lucas and being like, well, obviously we're going to make our new shit, make your shit obsolete and irrelevant. But why would an author do that to his own work? I don't get that, because to me that sounds like he has almost no attachment to like what he turned Naruto and Sasuke into in the long run, right? Like, can you ever imagine Oda writing a sequel to One Piece where like it's Luffy's kid, and like all the growth that we saw Luffy go through, like awakening, like learning Haki, his 2-year time skip, the lessons that he had to learn, the awakening his devil fruit and all of that, like defeating Im. Imagine just being like, okay, now Luffy's kid is just like way stronger than Luffy, and Luffy's a fucking joke and irrelevant now, and his kid's stronger like right away. And I'm not really gonna write much of a story for him. I'm just gonna do it in like a couple hundred chapters or something like that. Wouldn't that be weird? Like, do you think like a new swordsman like just being 10 times better than Zoro with like none of Zoro's journey or writing around it? Wouldn't that be weird? I don't know. I can't imagine Oda doing that, because like Oda loves these characters and the journey that he's writing for them to get to this place. I just think it's really strange that Kishimoto, it feels like to me, he has no love for the story that he already created. And I think that that's sad. You know what I mean? I just think it shows that he has no love for the characters and the journey that they had before. Anyway, hold on, let me catch up on these supers. JWP, thanks for the 5. Morj, congrats on your wedding engagement. Also, break next week after this chapter. What? There's a break next week after this How? How is this happening? How is this happening? We just had a... What is going on? Is that... I think I'm going insane. There's no way. There's no way. I'm going to check if there's a... Thank you for the update. Can anybody confirm? Is there a break next week? Growth Stonks, thanks for the 5. Emu used the Emerald City fueled by the Mother Flame against Lucia. Emu is the Wicked Witch, and Vegapunk is Oz, revealing the truth of the world and the city. Emerald City fueled Mother Flame. I never heard about that. That's an interesting idea. Wizard of Oz being... I think people have talked about how there's Wizard of Oz influence in One Piece. Growth Stonks, thanks for the 5. Uranus is a thunderbird, and Vivi as the conduit. Enel's fruit is the sound of thunder. The bird was hinted at in Strong World by Billy the Electric Duck. I have seen Strong World, but it was on TV in the background, so I didn't really follow a lot of it. I don't remember Billy the Electric Duck. This seems... I don't think I have the full context for this. Uranus is a thunderbird. I don't know if... that's a lot of stuff. I don't know how much of that is correct. But it's interesting. If you're right about that call... It's an impressive call to be right about. Let me tell you. By the way, real quick. Let me say this real quick, which is, you guys remember last week's Monday stream where we did chapter predictions for chapter 1115, right? And we got a shit ton of predictions from chat. Shit ton of predictions for what would happen in 1115, right? You guys remember this? You know how many people got it right? One. Only one. Jing freaks. Only one person got it right out of the entire chat, out of the things at least that we jotted down. And there were a lot of bad predictions that I didn't even bother jotting down because they were so random. So out of all the people in chat who made predictions for the next chapter, only one prediction was fucking correct. Jing freaks. He predicted that we would see a silhouette of Joy Boy, which is a relatively tame prediction to make, right? So I think that just goes to show it is hard to get One Piece right. It is hard to predict things correctly chapter to chapter. It just is. It's hard to get things correct chapter to chapter. It's hard to consistently be right about One Piece. It is easy to make fun of theories for being incorrect, but then when you ask people to make their own theories, you throw it all on the board, vast majority of people are usually fucking wrong. That's all. I'll just throw that out. I thought that was interesting after reading last week's chapter predictions, because I saw many of those predictions that people put out, and I thought a lot of them had a good chance to be correct. So I was actually assuming that we would have at least 5 to 10 correct predictions or something like that, or at least 5 correct predictions. One out of everybody. And that was with me being very selective with the ones that I even bothered to put on the board. So just something to consider. Anyway, moving along. Just the break next week. I don't know if I can believe it. Break next week? What the hell, man? Where am I at? Sway Shocks. Thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 5 months. You don't know the background and setup with the bloodline. Yeah, I don't. What does that mean, though? I don't know the background and setup with the bloodline. I don't know that. That's true. Break next week? Fuck. Man. I can't believe there's a break already. Eyes96, thank you for the 20. Thank you so much. I have a work friend who is Hindu from Nepal and is a normie. Took on the task of watching One Piece. He noticed and appreciates the references to Hindu mythology and culture. Also taught me how to swear in Indian and Nepali. I will say that as somebody who grew up... that's funny. As somebody who grew up in... who grew up reading Indian, Hindu comic books, like Amar Chitrakarta, if you know what those are. They're Hindu comic books. They tell Hindu mythology stories, but in comic book fashion, so it's fun to read. It's like American comic books. It's always fun for me in One Piece when there's Hindu references to random things. It just is you feel a connection to it in a certain way. It's just nice to see. It's Tony Santana says long range predictions are probably easier than short range ones, kind of like stocks. Well, it depends because you have to be strict about certain things where it's easy to do easy long range. I can predict next arc is probably Elbaf, and I have probably a 60% chance of being correct, right? You can always I can predict that Luffy will defeat Blackbeard. That's not a hard prediction. When you have to be selective a little bit in terms of predictions that are outside what most people already generally believe. There's a consensus usually of what people generally believe. Predictions only really count when it's outside the norm of that. And in that regard, I think long-range predictions are harder to predict than short-range ones. It's generally going to be easier to predict what happens in the next chapter, I think, than what's going to happen 200 chapters from now. Assuming you're working in the box of things that are not already generally accepted, you know? From Wano, if you had predicted after Wano that we're not going to Elbaf next, we're actually going to end up at Vegapunk's island, that's a really fucking hard long-term prediction to make during the Wano arc, you know? It's hard to get those ones correct. I think it's easier to predict chapter to chapter something happening a little, an interesting development next. Jing Freaks predicted that next chapter, 1115, we would see Joy Boy's silhouette, right? That's a prediction that maybe not necessarily everybody already believed, but it's also not a crazy outside-the-box prediction. You can make that prediction based on what Vegapunk was talking about this chapter, right? So I generally think that it's easier to predict chapter to chapter for sure. I think longer range that you get, it's more difficult. Assuming, of course, that you're not going with the obvious long range predictions that everybody already agrees on, you know? Like, the Straughts are going to Laugh Tale. What a prediction. That's not a prediction, you know? Alexandros, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morj, I haven't seen anyone bring this up, but Venus Juro mentioned a breadth of living things. I think this could connect to Zoro cutting steel / voice of all things. I think I've just viewed breadth of living things as falling into the same category of, like, observation hockey at this point. I view voice of all things as something much rarer. I don't think Zoro necessarily has that. But he might. I don't know. I think we need more clarification on this. This will always be a One Piece thing where it's just like, look, with Zoro, forget voice of all things and shit like that. We don't even know when Zoro's using advanced Conqueror's haki at this point, right? Like, we don't even know what fucking hellfire flames mean on his sword. We don't know what amount of black sparks means Conqueror's haki. I just think, I don't know. I think Venus Juro sensing living things and everything like that, the fact that he can sense their voices, how different is that from other characters being able to sense, certain things with observation haki? I don't know. Like, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji all knew that Caribou was around at Fishman Island. Is that the same? Or is Venus Juro getting at something different? Is Venus Juro getting more... Like, when Kobe woke up with his observation haki, he was like, I can hear the voices of all these things. Has Kobe got the voice of all things? Or is voice of all things exclusive to stuff like being able to hear Zunisha, being able to hear Sea Kings? I don't know. Anyway. All right, here's what I got so far. Here are characters that I consider gag characters so far. All right, and we can add more as we go. But I think that this is a tight list. All right. JP, thanks for the 10. Kishimoto wasn't the one writing Boruto till actual Baryon mode was introduced, and the big meme at the time was that it was specifically because he saw that was being done to his boy. But isn't Kishimoto the one who... Thanks for the clarification, but isn't Kishimoto the one who made Boruto still way stronger than Naruto and Sasuke right now, to the point that they're basically irrelevant? And who made Naruto's daughter, who, as far as I understand, like, wasn't even like a fighter or something like that, stronger than Naruto already? Isn't that stuff that happened post Naruto's Baryon mode or something? The Joe saying Sanji post time skip to Whole Cake Island. Can't see the full list camera view if you use blocking. Oh shit, I gotta move my camera up. 1 second. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so my arguments for gag characters are basically, it can't be characters who are often used for gag. How do I say this? Like, Usopp is not a gag character. He's a character that's often very funny and comedic relief, but I don't view him as a gag character, right? The characters I'm including are characters who I view their primary function in the story has been gags, like gag-based, right? So even though Buggy was a serious villain and Caesar was a serious villain for some time, overall their primary role in the story became being a gag character, right? Buggy has kind of turned it around with suddenly being a serious character momentarily again for one chapter, but I would still say his primary role in the story was to be a gag, right? I don't think Usopp's... His role for the crew dynamic is comedic relief, but by that logic, I would argue that Luffy's role day to day in the crew's dynamic is comedic relief, right? Tonjit, I thought about. Gaimon, I don't know if he's a gag character. I think he's a serious character. He's a character that's funny. Gedatsu I also considered potentially as a gag character. I think one of the problems is that Gedatsu's gag stuff generally took place... Like, his full gag storyline generally took place in a cover story, right? He was funny in Skypiea, but he was a villain that happened to have a gag. And then he became a gag character in a cover story. Umair says, hey, Morj, do you care about getting a good One Piece game? Not really, unless they're like... For me, how do I say this? I would only play a good One Piece game if it was genuinely an amazing game. Like, the potential to do it as a big open... Like, it would need to be Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring type good to do justice to it. Because otherwise, what you're doing is like most likely what you would do with a One Piece game is like an open world attempt, right? With One Piece characters to play up on fan service, right? to me, One Piece has tremendous potential as an open world game, but you would really, really need to do it right. You know what I mean? Like do justice to it to make it feel like to capitalize on the wonder of the One Piece world and the concept of being able to sail as a pirate and build your reputation, your crew, your capabilities, and make your way through the world, probably to find One Piece or whatever the fuck your goal is. The potential is there. The potential there is huge, but to make it a not just a generic game that's like a cash grab that relies on fan service, I really do think it would need to be a sort of revolutionary type game. So I wouldn't want just a good One Piece game. If there's a concept for a revolutionary type game that can apply the One Piece world, similar to like how Breath of the Wild broke new ground, Elden Ring broke new ground. If you can really get the concept of what a One Piece open world game should feel like, and the game mechanics are amazing, and the concept of how you're going through the world, growing, building reputation, all of that stuff is well thought out and new and fresh and unique and immersive and matches the experience of reading One Piece so that you actually feel like you've fallen into that world and are getting to live out that fantasy. I would love to play that game, but it would need to be revolutionary because there's no model for that exists right now, as far as I know, in terms of open world games to match what it would need to be to feel truly immersive and do the story and the world justice. JWP, thanks for the 2. Initial Duval reveal made me die. Was so funny. I agree. Duval is in there. Duval is in here. Caesar is not a gag character. This isn't Caesar. I have not included Caesar. Crisis is, shouldn't Bon Clay be a gag character? I went back and forth on Bon Clay. But the problem is that, like, if we put him on this list, I feel like he's just more than a gag. Like, I feel like he's too much more than a gag character. I feel like he's too much more than a gag character at this point. Do we have anybody else? Do we have anybody else that we feel confident is a gag character? Like, the ones that I'm thinking that could count is Gedatsu, Tonjit. Tonjit has one of my favorite little jokes in One Piece. I love this little gag. Let's see. 304. I maintain that if there was a chapter competition of like finding where something is in One Piece by chapter number, I don't think I'm the best at One Piece trivia in general. I know I'm not. I know there's better people like Tekking and Archer. But when it comes to finding a specific chapter in One Piece that something happened, I think I could beat 99.999% of One Piece fans in existence. There's probably some Rain Man type person who's just memorized where every single panel in One Piece is, but I think I would beat pretty much anybody that I would run into, right? So Tonjit shows up here. This is one of my favorite. Well, the actual gag, I guess, is technically the next chapter. It's 2 gags. It's the bamboo gag, where he explains that he just after I mounted the stilt, I got so scared of the height that I couldn't get down. For 10 long years. It's just so absurd. And then the second gag is this. This is fucking funny as fuck. In this village, milk is our main beverage. It's been 10 years. I have some milk stored here. He has a reaction face, a pause. Here we go. Please enjoy the cheese. He just tries to play it off. Richie the Lion. I could throw in Richie the Lion. Sogeking? No, Sogeking's a serious character. Sogeking saved Robin. I'll put Richie in. I think Richie belongs. Look at how Richie was initially presented. I don't know if you guys can see if my face is blocking, but the way Richie was initially presented to what he is now is very, very different. I'll throw in Tonjit. Crocus, Crocus isn't a gag character. He was just for a really good gag. I think Tonjit could be a gag character. I think Tonjit is a gag character. Because now I'm thinking back, even the serious moment that happened with Tonjit, right, is so he does have a serious moment technically. Okay, yeah. This is actually one of my favorites because like a lot of One Piece is about like avenging the injustices done to certain characters and stuff like that. But like the whole Foxy conflict is very silly, right? So technically, like it's dramatic to start off with because like Sherry got shot, right? Tanjit's horse got shot, and that's dramatic. And then, and then, but like right away, like the crew are telling Luffy not to get into the Navy backfight, but Tanjit and Sherry are like shamelessly like, please avenge our pain. It's just like a funny, like very self-aware type anime joke to make. And they're like, all right, we got to avenge their pain. Leave it to me. Like it's just the gag version of the usual Luffy arc of like Nami saying help me and Luffy being like, of course I can. Tanjit and Sherry are fucking okay, but they're like, nah, we want you guys to fight on our behalf. So I think I'll throw Tanjit in. First of all, did I save this? Yeah, I think I saved this already. Let me get Tanjit. I'll throw Gedatsu in. I'll even throw Gedatsu in because I do think it's a really funny plotline that Gedatsu literally fell to Earth and then just kind of became like, I don't know, like an indentured servant or some shit, and then he just rolled with it. He's just like, okay, I guess it's just who I am now. It's just my job. I'll put in Gedatsu. The chef guy Sanji fought on the train? Yep, already here. Let me add the new additions. All right, anybody else? Guys, look at the list. Anybody else missing? Mr. 3? I just don't think Mr. 3 is that funny. So even if we included Mr. 3, I think he became a gag character after Alabasta. Like, Impel Down onwards, he is a gag character. I just don't find him that funny. So it's like, even if we threw him on the list, we just put him, what, in D tier? I could put Baby 5. That chicken from any slobby. I think we need. If I start getting the gifters, then it's just a bit too much, you know? Then there's too many options. I'll put in Condoriano. Fuck it, I'll put Condoriano on. I'll put in Condoriano. Okay. All right. Neilio, thanks a lot. Neilio9, hey Morj, congrats on the theory. Finally got to catch a live stream after ages. Hope the shoulders is okay. Much love from Australia. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the theory shout out. I am happy that I got the theory right. Obviously, I think the shoulder's been good for a while. So I appreciate that too. And yeah, what time is it in Australia? Must be morning over there. But thank you, I appreciate it. I don't view Gaimon as a gag character at this point. Papag, I don't think Papag's that funny, so it's like we could throw him in. Hattori, L4K Shia says that female character dad who met in Skypiea and he didn't die by Eno. I mean, the fact that we don't even, like, his name isn't, you don't even recall the name right off the bat. I think it's just not, it doesn't belong here. Like, he wasn't that funny, you know? The zombie from Thriller Bark, I do think the zombie from the zombie that Luffy pushed back, or the old man with a big wound. Let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. I could put Kid in, and we'd vote him S tier. But it's like, that's our little joke. Moikel and Hoikel. Oh yeah, I'll throw in Moikel and Hoikel, just because I find him really funny. Were these anime only? I'm gonna leave it. Then we're getting into no, they're not anime only. We'll throw a bid. Why not? We do need some characters in D tier at the end of the day. I think I'm being inconsistent with who I say gets in and who doesn't, but you know what? It's not that serious of a topic, so it is what it is. Big Mom's husband, Pound? No. Come on. Tree from Thriller Bark? No, we need to do a line. We need to draw a line. We're drawing a line. We're doing this. This is our list. All right, we're rolling with this. We're rolling with these. Shoujo and Mashura? No, I think Shoujo and Mashura were serious enough. Tree from Whole Cake? McKinley. Who the fuck's McKinley? Oh, McKinley? No, McKinley's not a gag character. I say who the fuck's McKinley? He was in my last video on Akainu. I literally had him in the last video. Forgot about him. Tree, Thriller Bark. Like, there's a... I'll throw... Why not? How am I going to leave out this tree? I'm not leaving out the tree. It's the fucking tree from Thriller Bark. I can't leave... Oh, wait. I sized this poorly. You know what's funny? It's like... It's not just the tree. It was the tree and the unicorn. But everyone remembers the tree from Thriller Bark. Django? I just don't think they're not that funny. Like, they're not set up for... Like, there's not classic gags that they have. I guess falling in love with Hina. Alright. That's enough. Gastino Shirororo. I've got Gastino. Alright, let's roll. Alright? Is there a way I can shuffle? I'm just going to do a quick shuffle. Blind shuffling things around, because I figure we got some of the less funny characters later on because they don't come to mind right away, right? So we're doing a blind shuffle. It's not really a blind shuffle, but you know what I mean. Just shuffling however it ends up being shuffled. Okay, whatever. Enough shuffling. Lulu and Tilestone. They're funny. It's just that, like, the hair gag, I think, is one of the funnier gags. It's just, I don't know. At a certain point, we need to draw a line. We've drawn the line. The line has been drawn. This is the certain point. This is the line that's being drawn. Judge Baskerville? I think Judge Baskerville is funny enough. I'm putting Judge Baskerville in. I just think the gag is funny that Judge Hold on. What chapter? I need to pull this shit up now. 370. Probably around here. I think I was too early. This is one of my favorite gags in One Piece. Judge Baskerville gag. Yeah, here we go. Alright, so... they first get hyped up a lot. Precisely, now send them out. You don't mean it. Okay, the funny gag is when they get cut up in half and they turn out to not be three people, but actually... Or they turn out to be three people in a suit. Is that maybe this chapter? Fuck. Just after I bragged about being able to find any One Piece chapter. I can get close. But some stuff is pretty niche, right? Okay, here we go. Next chapter should be fighting the Baskerville judges. Where are we at? Come on. Where's the judges? Give me the judges. Fuck. Okay, here we go. First of all, they have different names. Left Baskerville, right Baskerville, and I am the solitary journey at Central Main Line. What the heck is that? So one, they always disagree. Then two, when they get cut up. When do they get cut up? Cut them up. Zoro cuts them up, I'm pretty sure. I don't want to watch Luffy versus Bluno. I want to watch the Baskerville brothers. Where the fuck are the Baskerville brothers? Or are they even brothers? Oh my fucking god. Shut up. I don't need to hear about Robin right now. I'm looking for the Baskerville Bros. My God. How far off is this? You know, I guess CP9, don't give a fuck. This joke is worth it, I promise. Oh my fucking God. I'm gonna flip. What even happened? You know what? Did I miss it? I might have missed it. Where's the part where it turns out that the judges are just three guys in a suit? I swear that happens. Am I crazy? Does anyone remember this? I swear this happens, right? These three guys turn out to just be three guys in a suit. Now I feel like I'm like gaslighting myself. Is this real? Is this like a real thing that happened? It was 2 chapters ago. Already skipped it. 2 to 3 chapters back. I'm not gonna search for it. Anyone know what it was right off the bat? I'm gonna search one. Do one search. I'll do one search right here. Where does it turn out that they're just 3 guys in a suit? Because to me, this is one of the funnier jokes in the series. I quit. I give up. And you know what? Because I gave up, no, they still get to be in the thing. They're funny. They're funny enough. They make it. It's my fault. It's my own. I wasn't strong enough to find their gag. If anyone knows the chapter, please tell me the chapter off the top of your head. But if you don't know, no worries. Let me add the tree in these guys. $3.99. Wiki says $3.99. Oh, so it wasn't a chapter back? So it was forward. So I didn't miss it. Right? Because they get cut up, right? They get cut up and then they're separated. Yeah, this is it. Too bad we're actually... Oh, yeah. My real name is Bass on the left. My real name is Kerrville on the right. And I, in the middle, am the princess. What the fuck? Those 3 stuck together the whole time for what? Because we're good friends. That's one of my favorite gags. All right, let's move it. Let's get. You know what? Just for that, I'm ranking them A tier. We're getting the tiers ranked. Here we go. Not Rain Man enough? Yeah, there was some Rain Man person could have figured that out. I'm disappointed. The reason I was thrown is particularly because I thought Zoro was the one that cut him up. Turns out Zoro didn't cut him up. It was somebody else. So that's what threw me. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 because we found the Baskerville shit. All right. I'm putting Baskerville in A. I just think it's a series of good jokes. I think it's a series of pretty good jokes, right? One, they've had this running gag of like them being this like really serious trio of judges that pronounce everyone guilty, but they do this gag where the left says this, the right says that, and the middle one says something that totally makes no sense. Right? Then it turns out that they're 3 people, but instead of it like presiding Judge Baskerville, they're like, hey. Instead of it being like a big scary anime reveal, like we're 3 people, so we're like stronger or something, it's like, no, we're 3 people, we're still fucking stupid. They still run with the gag of like, my real name is this, my real name is that, my real name is the princess, as though any of this fucking matters, and they're the ones that are upset at each other. Then the big reveal as to why they were stuck together, it's like, because we're good friends. And he's like, oh, shut up. I remember this line being, maybe it was the anime translation, but I remember this line being even funnier. They said, because we're chums. For some reason, I thought that was really funny. Because why are you stuck together all the time? It's like, because we're chums. We're friends. We like each other. It's like, what? Anyway, let's get it rolling. Foxy, I think Foxy's S tier. I think Foxy is S tier. I think Foxy is easy S tier, right? I don't think there's a debate about that. I don't think Baby 5 is a gag. She's a gag character mostly, but then her backstory gets really serious and she nearly commits suicide. I don't think it really applies. Wapple, I don't think Wapple's that funny is the thing. Because he is consistently used as a gag character. Even in the arc itself, he was kind of a gag villain. But I just don't find him that funny. He's consistently funny. I'm going to put him in B tier. Duval, I think the fact that he really... I'm going to... Fuck. Is Duval S? I do think it's always funny when he shows up. And I do think it's really funny that the fact that, okay, the Duval Sanji, no, I forgot. I'm viewing the Duval the way he is right now. He's still a pretty funny gag character when he shows up, but the Duval gag, like the reveal that Sanji's hated longtime enemy, Nemesis, was actually just a dude who shared the same bounty poster. I think that's the single best gag in One Piece ever. The best setup gag. Because you have to understand, at this point in time, like, I was tuning more into, like, comments and, like, theories around this time. Like, I would read on my anime list when a new chapter came out, like, people's theories as to what the deal is, like, with like, people's speculations, right? So around this time, people were really, like, when the arc started, Subodi Archipelago, but the Flying Fish Riders section, right? And we found out the Man in the Iron Mask, the theories around that, right? That in itself was like foreshadowing for Sanji actually also growing up being in the Iron Mask, but you know, that's something. At the time, there were so many theories as to who this longtime villain could be. Jin's name came up. Some people were even talking about how it's like there were elaborate theories. I remember, like some people even arguing that it's Arlong. I could not, for the life of me, figure out who the fuck it was. It was one of the most, like, it was a very hotly debated topic. It was a really, really, really exciting, like whodunit type thing, like racking through the 500 chapters of One Piece to try and figure out who would hate Sanji. And it's all just like a ridiculous, absurd joke that some dude, people would come at me saying, "You're Vin Smoke Sanji," and I would reply back to them, "I don't even know who that is. Please leave me alone." Some shit like that. I think that is the best single setup, like long-term payoff gag in One Piece ever. Like a full like mini arc devoted to that one joke, basically, right? So I think that this, like, Duval definitely belongs in S tier. I think since then the Rosy Life Writers gag has been really funny. It's made for some really funny moments. Even just like him giving that long speech and then only getting Sanji to the auction house at the same time as everybody else, despite like bragging like his brilliant strategy to get Sanji there faster. So I think there's a lot to this. I think he's easy S too. Tonjit is great for some individual. I'm gonna bump some shit down. I don't think the Baskerville judges were around. No. I think it's the same tier. This tier, A tier, I think belongs to Tonjit and Baskerville for having some really fucking funny jokes, but they're short-lived, right? They don't occupy a lot of story space. Virgil Hawkins. Thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 20 months. It is always good to see you in streams. Favorite Haikyuu character so far? We still haven't made it out of their prefectural tournament or whatever, but my favorite character so far is I do like Hinata at this point. He's become more endearing. I think maybe it's Kageyama. There's some things about Kageyama I don't quite enjoy yet. I like Kageyama. There's that setter that Nekoma has that I like, but we haven't seen a lot of him. And then even this guy, where I'm at right now, they're playing a team that has, his name's Oikawa on it. I think I like him quite a bit, so he's one of my favorite characters as well. I'd say out of the main school, like the protagonist school, I'd say maybe Kageyama's my favorite, but in general, it's probably that setter from Nekoma or Oikawa. Anyway, but good question. Don't watch the movie before reading the manga. They're stuffing 110 chapters into 2 movies, so strongly recommend against the movies being your first experience with the series' end. What? I thought the movies will just cover like a little bit of an arc or something like that. Really? Okay, I'll have to, maybe I'll ask somebody else to watch that movie first to really report back on what it's like. Ryunosuke and Hannibal, I don't view Hannibal as a gag character, although he is, my burning memory of him is not as a joke, I guess. Ryunosuke, it's too late. We're doing the ranking now. I think Ryunosuke could be there. Ryunosuke could be, it would make sense, but it's just been too long. Not been too long. It's just like I'm rolling with the list. We're not taking submissions anymore. Duval versus Foxy. I think Foxy just made for overall like a funnier arc. Like he was the driving force of why that whole arc is a comedy arc. Duval has the single best gag ever, so it's complicated. I find this fucking camel from Alabasta to be fucking hilarious. It's just this camel. The camel's just so boldly shameless. I really fucking love this camel. It's one of my favorite parts of Alabasta. That they just pick up this camel who's just, like, it's just this camel that's very stoic and very serious looking, and Chopper's just I think the levels to the gag that Chopper's translating for it as though it's like this serious discussion that they're having, and the camel's like, yeah, I'll let you guys ride, but I don't let dudes ride. Sorry, I don't let dudes ride, only ladies. I just find that to be one of the funniest gags in the story, because it's like, you're a fucking camel in the middle of the desert. Where the fuck do you get off, like, being selective about this shit whatsoever? Like, what? Who the fuck are you? You're a camel. You're like, what do you? They're on a trip to fucking save the entire kingdom, and why is his name? His name's Eyelashes because he has, I guess, prominent eyelashes. I just find the camel's whole gag fucking hilarious, and the kicker for me is when the camel like helps them out by helping bring in one of his friends, the fucking crab, who is also a pervert, just like the camel. What the fuck is this shit? JWP, thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming through so frequently in streams and, just helping out the people in this chat by giving them memberships, and obviously myself as well for the support. Seriously, thank you so much. Soge King, say thanks. Jose Lario, say thanks. Seriously, man, I always appreciate when you come through in streams and just, like, brighten people's days, obviously, as well as mine, obviously. I appreciate the gifted memberships and everything like that, but as do people in chat. Again, if you get a gifted membership from anybody, just make sure to say thanks, because, that's pretty cool. And you also get access to the podcast and everything like that. They're giving you access to shit, emojis, all of that stuff. Emotes, sorry. Emotes, weekly podcast, all that shit. Okay, Bartolomeo is high, but I just really like him. I love him as a character. Like, out of these four characters, Bartolomeo is my favorite character. I think he belongs as an S tier gag character. I don't know if he's an S tier gag character, but I do like his gag. I do like his running gag of just being obsessively a fanboy of Luffy, to the point that his cover story is him burning down Shanks' flag to put up Luffy's. I think Soge Kings is downloading all Morjcast now, lol. If you enjoy the Morjcast, I'm happy to hear that. Seriously, get him while you can. Bartolomeo, yeah, I think he's an S tier gag character. Gidatsu, I find Gidatsu's whole cover story to be really funny. I also find his random gags of, like, his eyes rolling into the back of his head because he forgets, or him not knowing how to cross his arms. I find those gags funny, but I find his whole cover story to be really funny as well. Like, let's pull it up. Let's just pull up his little cover story here. It's literally called Gidatsu's Accidental Blue Sea Life. Let's pull up his cover story and evaluate, right? Let's put him to the test. How funny is he really, huh? How funny is he? Is it just nostalgia, or are you really that funny, huh? You have what it takes? So first, he casually begins by performing Kaido's feat. Hundreds of chapters before Kaido. 400 chapters before Kaido. Gidatsu, unexpectedly alive. All right, cool. We just roll with it. Gore the Hole Digger's dream is Hot Spring Island. Oh, Gidatsu's trying to get in through the window. Just classic Gidatsu stuff. Makes sense. I've decided to become the boss of the Blue Sea. I forget all this. Then he just becomes a worker. He's just turned into a worker. He doesn't know how to eat. This guy's really putting to work. And it seems like he's adjusting. He's really like now he's a diligent worker. Actually, he gets into it, and he unearths what, oil? I forget this whole story. Oh shit! I forgot about this shit. Unexpectedly awaken the legendary boss of the earth. Gidatsu beats him up. I don't remember this happening. The Sky Boss versus the Earth Boss. My name is Frankie. I'm sorry, I'm just reading the title of the chapter. Is Caribou a gag character at that point? Because Caribou has a fucking funny-ass cover story, too. I don't know. Caribou's not that I don't know. He's kind of funny. He's a little too evil to be funny. I don't know. He's also largely a plot device. Caribou is funny in his own ways. Okay, so this shit happens. All right. They're doing shit. They're all a team now because that's just the way that One Piece works. You remember when like Odin cut that pig in half, that giant boar, and then that boar shows up later on healed fully, despite being cut in half, and then he's just like a friendly boar after that. Gadatsu's just beating up everybody here. The Sky Boss who made the Forest Boss his henchman. What the fuck? Wait a second. I'm just putting this together. Gadatsu's storyline kind of mirrors Enel's storyline a little bit, doesn't it? Like, Enel shows up, beats up, like, becomes the boss up there and everything like that, too, because he beats up these characters, like, the Sky Pirates and shit like that, and the automatons. Gadatsu doesn't even know what the fuck is going on here. Like, this storyline's so fucking random. The crab is back. The crab is back. And now Gadatsu's just hanging with fucking Vivi, Chaka, Pell, Karu, Igaram. I didn't remember the details of this. You didn't even fucking know these people. This is the weirdest crossover ever. Gadatsu built this fucking hot spring. Or no, he didn't build this hot spring. But you know what I mean? Like, he was involved in this whole storyline. The woman's bath. Wait, is the king trying to peep here? No, for some reason I thought the king would be trying to peep. Gadatsu, the Blue Sea boss. Yeah, he became... I like this. That's the bath... That's the Bath-Attendant Master Gadatsu. All right, Gadatsu, he's in. Drop by... Yeah, he's in, right? Gadatsu's in. All right, I think he's A tier. I don't think he's S tier, but I think he's A tier. I think he's comfortably A tier. I'm putting him here. I think he's on the borderline of A and S, right? Do you guys think Gadatsu makes it to A or S? I don't think he's an S tier gag character, but he's up there. I think he's good. Condoriano, it's fucking Condoriano. What are you supposed to say? It's Condoriano. No discussion. Michael and Hoikel, I'm just gonna put him in C, just not very memorable. Johnny and Yasaku, we gotta group these two together, right? Johnny and Yasaku. These are some legendary gag characters from back in the day. My man, Johnny and Yasaku. I think that they go here. I might have overrated the camel. Maybe I just find the camel really funny. Yeah, like, Gadatsu doesn't have a singular moment that's as funny as Tanjit or Baskerville's gags, but he is fairly consistently funny, I think, in his whole storyline. Legend, but A. Yeah, because the problem is that they're legends because they're so far back, right? Like, these are East Blue legends of the story, you know what I mean? But the modern era has produced things like the Duval gag, Foxy and his entire Long Ring Long Land arc, the fucking camel. The camel's a personal pick, maybe. I just fucking like the camel a lot. I think a lot of people would vote the camel probably lower, but I like the camel a lot, so the camel goes in S, right? Bartolomeo is just more recent, you know? K. Maya says, Johnny and Yasaku, we lost by a hair. That's funny. Everyone remind him of the Kung Fu Dugong and Karu squad. Shit. The Kung Fu Dugongs are funny. You guys know that the wackest filler arc in the anime ever, as far as I know, is Luffy and Law fighting a Kung Fu Dugong that's learned Haki. And it's like a serious battle. It's like Luffy's supposed to fucking fight Doflamingo next arc, and he's stuck fighting a Kung Fu Dugong in a serious all-out battle that uses Haki and shit. Kung Fu Dugongs, I think... Okay, let's finish out this group, and then maybe we add in some more. Kung Fu Dugongs are very funny. Do you guys think the camel belongs in this? Let me do a poll for you guys. I'm just curious what the people's opinion is. I might not change it just because I like the camel a lot. But I can understand why it maybe doesn't belong in S tier necessarily. I'll do a poll for Bartolomeo too. I think Bartolomeo belongs in S. People think the camel's A. The camel's probably A. I just find the camel really funny. I'll put the camel in A. Johnny and Yosako are more classic characters than the. I'm overrating the camel. I am overrating the camel, I think. It is close. I think you guys have it close too. I think the camel's not as instantly memorable because it was like there's so much other. It's a camel, so it doesn't fucking talk most of the time. I think that's why I find it so funny, which is just that this camel who is like, it's not even a character. It's not even a character like a talking character. It's like this animal that they have as a companion, and even out of the animal companions that they have in the group, it's like it ranks third in most significant animal companions after Chopper and the duck, Karu. So it really plays a very minor role in the story, and it doesn't talk, and it doesn't have like much of a, presence. I think I just find his gag funny, and the fact that he plays a consistent role. Like, the fact that the camel leads them to Eyelash, who is also just like the fucking camel. I'm going to keep the camel in A. I feel like we got to keep S a bit more sacred. Know that I find the camel's gag to be S tier worthy, but I think just let's keep S Scooby-Doo ass camel. It's just that I don't know if it feels right putting the camel above Johnny and Yosaku. I find the camel funnier than Johnny and Yosaku. I'm gonna keep the camel in S. The camel's staying in S. I think it's close enough. Buggy. Kind of unfair to compare, right? This guy, this dude. I'm gonna put him here. I find the crab the crab is really short-lived though, isn't it? I gotta move some stuff around. The crab is short-lived. I think I find the camel and the crab really funny. Also, the crab is really fucking lecherous just looking, right? I'll put the crab in A. Gangster Gastino. This is difficult. Duval should be SS, is what people are saying. I think Duval's singular gag is the funniest gag. It's the best done gag in all of One Piece, just because of the build-up, setup, payoff. Like, the setup was, all the way back in like Ennis lobby with Sanji getting the wanted poster. So that was the setup. Like, there was a gag setup in the first place. Sanji's funny wanted poster. Then the build up of so many chapters of building up to this big reveal of like, who's this character that hates Sanji, the plot setup of it, luring in Sanji and the Straw Hats to get this long awaited revenge. And then the reveal that the gag is a payoff to a previous gag that was already a major gag in the story, right? It feels very, like Arrested Development. I will always say Arrested Development is the best show I've ever seen at handling running gags, because it finds ways to have the initial running gags, like Sanji's wanted poster being silly. Finds ways to take initial running gags and then have them have huge, long built-up payoffs in even bigger ways down the line. I think Duval's the best example of that. But I don't think that he overall belongs in the same tier as Buggy. His following gags of being the Rosy Life Riders and shit like that, it is really funny, and I think I would still keep him towards the top. But I think he peaked with that gag. The Duval reveal is... I could see... Okay, I'll do a poll. I'll do a poll. Duval for S or SS. You know what? I think one thing that might be skewing things... Hold on. Here, let's make it more fair, because I think if we look at this face, then that'll remind us all more of how funny Duval was, right? I picked the newer face, so let's show him in his prime. Let's be as fair as possible here, right? This was the peak that Duval reached. Let's remove him from here. The fuck? And let's bump him up. So right now I'm putting him here, right? I'm going to do a poll, right? Introduce Konkerzaki with Duval. Yeah, this is tight, just because I think his peak comedy is the highest in One Piece ever. But long term, I would put him lower, more along these guys, basically. I just feel like, to me, I've always thought that Buggy would be on his own tier, just as the most iconic next level gag character in One Piece. But then Duval has the best gag in One Piece, so it's like you could argue that he can still be in the same tier as Buggy. Ignorant Weed, thanks for the 5. Gastino is S. Caesar only one worthy to rival Buggy. Sama, Shiroro, I'm big Caesar fan, and I'm not leaving the stream until he is S tier. Hashtag Gas Nakama. We'll do a poll for Gastino, because I think he could fall a variety of ways. Damn, this is tight. All right, guys, get your votes in. I'm gonna wait 15. We'll do a timer. We'll do a 30-second timer. 30-second timer. All right. Once this is up, whatever the votes are for Gastino, or not Gastino, Duval is what it is. So get your votes in for where Duval lands. This is what the way the tier list looks like right now. I'm going to hold off on my commentary. All right, stopping the poll. So it ended at SS versus S, with SS taking it. I don't think he belongs in the same tier as Buggy. I think Buggy's just on another level as a gag character in One Piece. I do think I probably have the Camel rated too high. Camel should not be in the same tier as Duval. I think that might be a factor here. All right, here's what I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to add a row above. All right, this is going to be SS now. Sorry, this will be SSS. We're going to put these guys here. I'm going to put Johnny and Yosaku in this tier as well. I'm going to put Gitatsu here. Whoops. I'm going to change the color scheme a little bit. I like the gradient that organically comes with this. All right. These are the solutions, right? As a streamer, sometimes you got to make the tough decisions. The decisions chat doesn't have the balls to make. Yeah. All right. I don't think we're going to have a D tier. What's the point? All right. I think this makes sense. I think Buggy is just in a tier of his... It feels like Buggy should be in a tier of his own because it's everything. Like, Buggy's just the GOAT of gag characters, right? He's got everything. He's got the long-term... Just the long-term comedy, right? Over... Like, it's the first arc, right? Second arc, sorry. Like, from then to now, he has been a source of comedy every time in the story that he's shown up, and it's been over such a long stretch of time, and almost every Buggy scene that happens is funny, right? Like, almost every Buggy scene that, like, any time that he shows up, you know you're in for a good time, you know you're in for some wacky shit. I just think that there's just another level to, like, Buggy's... There's something to be said for, like, sustained excellence as a gag character over such a long period of time, you know? There's a reason that Buggy's just the iconic One Piece gag character, right? Like, he's the go-to joke guy that people talk about, right? Like, oh, what if Buggy gets Pirate King? You know? Shit like that. I think Buggy belongs here. The Low Man, thanks a lot. Caesar's SS because he has the best laugh. There's a lot of Caesar fans here. Okay, let's put Caesar to the test. Where do we think Caesar lands? Emu Morj moment reshaping the continent, says Morocco. All right. Where's Gangster Gastino? Where does he end up? I think he could... I'm not giving him SSS. I think there's a tier that's just going to be for Buggy. There's a tier that's going to be just for Buggy, and Buggy will just belong there. I could see him here. I could see Gangster Gastino here. Because it looks like that's where... No, actually, it's very tight. It's very tight. Because, No, it's not. Because at least... It looks like close to 60% of people think he should be S or higher. Most people think he should be at least A. I'm going to go ahead and put him in S. I feel like S feels right for him. Right? Gangster Gastino, classic, comedy, source in One Piece. Like, it's like the poor man's Buggy. You know what I mean? Caesar Clown, Buggy the Clown. They ended up playing a similar role, I guess. I think it's the poor man's Buggy. Demalo Black. I want to put him here. I think a lot of the comedy of the Straw Hat, like the fake Straw Hat Pirates, I think it comes more so from people coming up with memes later on that they think of with the fake Straw Hats. You know, like these, I don't know if you can see with my face covering. Let me shift. Like, people come up with some really funny memes with the fake Straw Hats. Can you guys see this? And, like, that stuff's really funny. This is one of my favorite visual jokes ever, which is the fake Straw Hats lined up at Enies Lobby. I love this gag. The fake Straw Hats lined up at Enies Lobby, and then Robin says, "I want to die." I feel like it's more community-based than any... Like, because it's just like, oh, there's a fake Straw Hat crew. We could use them as jokes. Yeah, like two-piece stuff like that. I don't think that in the story himself I ever thought that it was, like, that funny of a gag character, you know? So there's something to be said there. You know, difference between... I think it's comparing two different things there. He's back with Kid, right? Like, I could put him here. I think the community does count, though, you know? The community does count. Because, like, Condoriano, a lot of the humor is just, like, the fact that we as a community reiterate Condoriano so much, you know? Condioriano. Like, that's community-based jokes, you know? This dude, I think this dude's really funny, and he was really good for a chapter, but I don't think he's iconic in the same way, so I'm going to put him here. Richie. Richie was a funny... I think Richie's funny enough to go here. I don't think Richie's jokes have ever been clever enough. Like, I think the Tonjit and Baskerville, their skits are genuinely really clever. Like, not clever, but, like, the jokes are very snappy and quick and, like, I don't know, there's something to be said about their joke. Like, I just think that they're genuinely really, 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 like, sharp comedy that's pretty, like, quickly stacking some jokes on top of one another. Gedatsu is a nice, long, played out, funny cover story. The Crab is a me pick. I just think the Crab's really funny. I don't think Richie is A tier necessarily. He's definitely not S. I think Richie... But I think Richie's funnier than, like, Wapple and this dude. Where do we want to put Richie? Let's ask. Let's ask the people. Where are we putting Richie? Don't remember one Richie joke, to be honest. I think the only Richie joke that really happened is, like, he beat up Kabaji and Moji to become the captain of the crew, you know? I'll put Richie here. Yeah, he became the captain of the Buggy Pirates for a little bit, which was funny. I don't think it was that funny. Wanze, I think, is fucking hilarious, but not this hilarious. I put Wanze here. I think Wanze's in this category. I think this is good company for him. I think the fact that Wanze also thinks that he looks really handsome, but like, originally looks really handsome, but he thinks that Sanji made him really ugly when Sanji basically saved... Like, Sanji did this guy such a favor, but he thinks that he thinks that Sanji ruined his good looks. I think that's a really funny gag. Also, let me add this. One of my favorite little Wanze gags that happened, I guess 370? Might be a little bit before this. No, I think I'm just about on the spot. I'm one chapter off. One chapter off. One, maybe two, depending on... This is funny. The fact that Luffy's bulletproof allows for gags like this to happen. Luffy shows up. Hey, Sanji, are you here? Luffy saying no while he's being shot. I think that shit's funny. I do think One Piece's comedy was better back in the day because I think that Oda just chapters went slower, the pacing was slower, so Oda had more time for developed jokes. I don't think Oda like even something small like this. I think Oda just you got to move the story along faster now, so you don't have time to do shit like that. Okay, so I was a little bit off with Wanze. Okay, this should be good. Okay, this is one of my favorite gags. So Sanji completely fucks up Wanze, and he's giving this epic speech. If you lack passion when you prepare food, everything will taste bad. He's giving this beautiful speech to him, explaining, delicately putting back the knives. Kitchen knives are not swords. They're not for killing people. But you should rethink your situation now that you've lost your armor. And then he's like literally yelling a move and just chucking knives at him immediately afterwards. I think that's a really funny gag. Because the build up to it is beautiful. Like, Sanji's... Like, we know the significance of Sanji picking up knives. We know how much Sanji respects cooking, respects the kitchen. So Sanji doing all this, showing him the beauty of the kitchen knives. And Wanzi this entire time has been like this third-rate cook with like a pea-sized brain who doesn't process anything. Where Sanji's this cooking genius who's really trying to break things down to him and educate him. And then the moment that Sanji puts down the knives and hopefully has imparted a lesson, Wanzi's immediately ignoring all of that and doing the fucking exact opposite of what Sanji was trying to teach him. I think that's a really funny little gag. And then on top of that, obviously the gag that it ends with, I think is funny. I think Wanzi belongs in this tier. I don't think he's up here, but I think he belongs in this tier. All right, the tree. I think the tree's here. It's just, you can't do anything about the tree. It's just funny. You just look at the tree and it's just fucking funny. Yeah, I think that this is a good ass list. I like the way that this looks. The attack is literally Sidewell Runner says Hocho Nage is literally kitchen knife throwing. Yeah, which is not a move that he normally uses. It's literally, this is a thing that happens in One Piece that I also think is funny that Oda does, which is like lots of times there's like like it's fairly frequent in the story. Like obviously all anime have like named attacks and named moves and stuff like that, but One Piece really likes to play up like the named attacks and named moves to the point that it will like pretty much anything that any character does, they will have a name for it, no matter how random or out of the blue it is. So like I feel like One Piece is a series where very, very often like random stuff, like a character doing something really small, like Kaku saying like, this is my new move, pasta machine or something. Like every little thing a character does will be named, no matter how small or minute. So Wanze's pulling out this new move, kitchen knife throwing. Anyway, I think this is good. I think Buggy belongs in his own tier. Just the impact, longevity, just what he means for the story and for like One Piece fans, like you and I, as a gag character, I think is very significant. These are the classics, right? Best gag in One Piece. I think a worthy follow. I think Foxy was like a worthy sort of follow-up kind of gag villain to Buggy. Never reached the long sustained heights, but you could easily see. I think also if you're an anime fan and like especially if you indulged in some of the filler, you're an even bigger fan of Foxy because they they doubled up on the Davy Backfight games, right? So you could saw a lot more of Foxy and more gag moments with him. And then two, they brought Foxy back intermittently for like little filler conflicts and stuff like that. And he kind of became like a Team Rocket type of villain where it's like, oh no, Foxy and his gang are back with some more bullshit, and it's like they get beaten in a filler episode, and it's like, all right, we'll get you next time, Straw Hats. So I think Froggy. Let's slow down here. I think Foxy's a worthy sort of successor for Buggy, but hasn't reached the heights. Just Oda hasn't used him the same way as he's used Buggy over the course of the series. Condoriano, no explanation needed. The anime. The gold gem, the shining star of all anime filler characters, Condoriano, just because he's just the centerpiece gag. Not the center. He's like out of the best One Piece filler arc ever. He is the most memorable gag character out of that filler arc. I think he is what people think of when they think of like what makes that filler arc so funny, because it's a million different things, but he's kind of like that Condoriano gag and like what the community and One Piece fans have made of it over the years with the Condioriano stuff. He just belongs here, personally, I think. Prince Germa, thanks a lot. Wait, you forgot Bachi. Who am I forgetting here? Okay, I'm Not fucking putting Bocce. I don't even know who this is. Who is Bocce in One Piece? Okay, I'm not putting Bocce. Oh, Bocce was Bocce was the bug that ended up in the drink that Full Body put in his date's drink or whatever. Okay, well, Bocce would be a C tier, but you know, I see it. This group of characters, all very funny. Camel's my personal pick. I think they all are memorable, funny characters in the story, right? Johnny Osaku, Gangster Gastino, Damalo Black, Bartolomeo. This is my pick. The Camel, obviously eyelashes. I just don't think they reach the heights consistent. Like, I think Condoriano reaches heights that these other ones don't. I think Duval reaches heights that these other ones don't. And I think Foxy, just a full-on, like an entire arc as a gag villain, I think is something special. So I think they're a bit above, but I love the gags of all these characters, and they're just classic funny characters. Again, the Camel is just my pick, so ignore the Camel. Although I think if you really look back and read Alabasta, you would probably find the Camel really funny over the course of this. These guys are all really fucking funny as well. They're just shorter lived, I think, in terms of their relevance. Like the Crab, same-ish gag as the Camel, just very short. Tree, same thing. Wanze, Baskerville, and Tonjit, I think these three have really funny set of gags. They're just very short-lived characters in terms of how long they're a joke. Gedatsu, he's got his own cover story. It's just because it's a full cover story, it's not as played up, but I think the cover story is one of the funniest cover stories we have. These guys are gag characters that just never really were great, I guess. I don't think Wapple's like an endearing gag character even. Like, it's fine. He's funny. It's just, he's not like a Buggy or a Foxy or something, you know, or even a Gangster Gastino. It's just Wapple. And then this is just like a one-off gag that barely even matters. Yeah, One Piece got some funny shit. Wouldn't Heracles be a gag character? I think Heracles is serious enough in terms of his relevance to what he brings to the story that I wouldn't count him as a gag character personally, but I could see it. Yeah. All right, guys, I think we got a pretty good gag tier list right here. I think this is a pretty good one. I see some people arguing that Gangster Gastino should be up here. I could see it. I could see a case for any of these characters being up here. If you recall, I had to separate the tiers. I just think I view Buggy as the GOAT. These three is the big three that are in his shadow, I suppose. These are some of the funniest characters in One Piece. These are niche, really funny characters in One Piece that can maybe sometimes be forgotten or whatever, but they exist and they're really funny. These are gag characters that they were gag characters, you know. I think this guy's pretty funny. I just don't remember his name. I think Frankie was the really funny one in the chapter that this guy showed up more than anything. I have half in mind to drop him. Because the scene was funny, like Frankie arguing with him about the blueprints, but he himself I don't think was that funny. Yeah, and then this is just barely even remember. All right, guys, I think the balance is good. I'm personally kind of a stickler for, I like tier lists where I personally just like tier lists where there's a sort of arc to it, you know? Because there should be less trash, I suppose, than you know, you should just have a nice arc to it. And this is actually a perfectly balanced tier list, so I like the look of it. Flip side, I think for other tier lists, I also like tier lists where things become more selective as you go along. So I guess I like tier lists that follow either an arc or I suppose more of a right triangle or a pyramid type setup where like C tier has a lot, then B tier has a little less, then A tier is even more selective, and then S tier is just like the tippy top. I guess for something like power scaling, I prefer tier lists to look a bit like that. So like quality gets more and more scarce as you go up. But I think for these type of tier lists, I think I like an arc. I think I generally like either an arc look to a tier list or a narrowing like sort of pyramid look to a tier list. You know, it's a personal preference. So I like when it looks like that. Ignorant Weed, thanks a lot. We forgot about Lauji and Gastino S. We've got Gangster Gastino. I don't think of Lauji as a gag character. Although he does have a lot of funny shit happen to him. Like you can literally see his soul leaving his body over the course of the fight, which I do think is very, very funny. But I don't view him as a gag character. He was such a formidable villain. You know, it's kind of like there are characters that are funny. Like Queen was a bit of a meme throughout Onigashima, but ultimately was a very formidable opponent for Sanji. Lauji was like Laoji beat Don Chinjiao, although Don Chinjiao was supposedly weakened at that point in time, he says, after his fight with Luffy. But still, Laoji beats Don Chinjiao. Like, prime Laoji seems really powerful. So, I don't quite put Laoji there. I'm of the opinion that, like, I feel like when Oda did the Dressrosa family seats, I just feel like some of them, like obviously Virgo Pika are very strong for the Doflamingo family standards at the very least. But I just feel like some of the lower officers, like Laoji and Gladius, seemed more competent than like a Treble. So it feels a little weird. Like, it's weird for me to think that Treble is stronger than Laoji, at least in the rankings, or like even Diamante. I get it. Like, Oda's telling us Diamante is stronger, therefore Kiros is above like Laoji and stuff like that for beating Diamante. It's just, it feels a little weird because they don't seem impressive whatsoever. Diamante was thrown in the Coliseum with like Sabo and Burgess and stuff, and he didn't do anything in that fight. He doesn't do anything. It's like, at least have him do something. Like, he doesn't have to be successful against Sabo, but like, all he does is extend his sword and Sabo breaks it right away or something like that. It's like, do something to make this guy feel like a bit of a challenge so that when Kiros beats him, it feels impressive. But, I don't know. Anyway. All right, guys. Yeah, Virgo and Diamante. No, I think Virgo and Pika are. I'm just talking about Virgo and Pika. Sorry, I'm saying Virgo and Pika, I think, make sense as Doflamingo seats, right? Like, they seem formidable enough that would make sense, Diamante and Treble in particular, I think, was never seemed that impressive to me at any point. Like, it was very hard for me to believe that Laoji is below Treble, but I don't know. All right, guys. Let's yeah, we're gonna call it here. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Yeah, this was fun. I'm happy we got to do this. I also want to do a running gags tier list because that's something that has been on the list of things to do for some time. So hopefully we get to do that at some point, sometime soon. But yeah, at the moment, this is what we got. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I will talk to you all later. Peace.